They're all man-made, John?
No, they're all natural, but to store more water, they were built up on outlets to hold more water, just to make more water. No, they're all natural things.
And then during the WPA days, they also raised the dams a little bit too, didn't they, Johnny?
Well, they redone them.
Redone them, yeah.
Yeah,
They washed out.
the Forest Service and the WPA did a lot of that work up there.
Well, Harold, can you tell a little bit about the buffalo mine? Your uncle worked in the buffalo.
Yeah, I've got, well, my grandfather worked up there, Jess worked at the Buffalo, and then my uncle worked there, Kenneth Craven, in that box, mailbox in Buffalo, New Mexico Mines Company. And it had an address. I got an old receipt book here from Buffalo, New Mexico Mines, and a lot of their mail came to Buffalo, New Mexico. They think it came to Red River, but a lot of it came to Buffalo, New Mexico. And I got receipt books which are interesting. I won't bore you with any of this here, but I'll tell you some of this. My grandfather also, with the other things he was doing, was the Justice of the Peace. And I got a whole bunch of all of his records in here that tell about when miners and Jack Brandenburg. Jack Brandenburg filing claims against some of the mines in here. And yeah, it's pretty interesting going through this. There's a lot you may not want to go through. But just to show you here, Ray Vandal, of course, Kelly ran the Buffalo to start with, and D. Kelly, and then when he left, expired, whatever, why, a guy named Camphausen ran. And Kenneth, my granddad, worked for Camphausen. Camphausen ran for quite a while. Buffalo Mine ran until about 1938. And if you look back here, you'll see stock certificates. We got stock certificates that was issued to the family from Buffalo Mines. And the last stock certificate that was issued was in 1938. And here in 1937, just to kind of show you what a miner made, he made $2.50 a day. And here's one, Ray Vandal wages. He worked for 10 days, and he got paid the most. He made $30 in 10 days.
Let me tell you something about Ray Vandal.
Look out.
I'll tell you something about him too.
When they started prospecting again for gold and looking around all these mountains up here, why I was furnishing saddle horses for these guys to ride around, engineers and so forth and so on. But Ray Vandal was working for them, and so was Johnnie Brandenburg's dad, Jack Brandenburg. And I was furnishing horses, so during the day they'd have me help him. So Jack was down in this shaft cleaning it up looking for gold, and Ray Vandal and I was up running the hand hoist, bringing the buckets up, dump them out when they've got it full of muck. And old Ray said, "Hey, Johnny," he said, "I bet you I can look the sun longer than you can." I said, "Okay, go ahead." So he looked up there and he just kept looking, you know, his eye on one eye anyway. And when he got through, he said, "Hey, you notice what?" He said, "I got one glass eye."
Was there anybody on it? And Tony Simeon's dad, A.D. Simeon in here, he worked in there 10 days, $25. And 18 days, $2.50 a day. And it's pretty interesting anyway. In the back here, it's got mileages that tell you distance from the home to the spring and distance from the house to the gate and the house to the store. And I never could figure out why all these mileages, 9/10 of a mile, 1 4/5 of a mile, and so on. Got to reading through this book of Grandpa's here. Come to find out, that's part of how he got paid when he was serving these summons and all, is he got so much a mile. And so in here, he had one that he had to go deliver a summons for 4.5 miles, and he got 50 cents. Go deliver that summons. 4.5 miles.
How much could you buy then with those 50 cents?
Well, you could buy. I've got a lot of that from these miners, and there's you could buy quite a bit. There's some in here that well, just to show you, here's one that was filed. This complaint of L.S. Lewis, which would be Lester's dad. They filed a deal on a mine on the Myrtle and on the Gold Nugget placer mine. And let's see here, there's a year of 35, March of 35. And if you go through most of these, you'll see that in 35, 36, 37, and 38 is when these mines were going out. And that's when they started going out of business, and that's how my uncle wound up a stock certificate, Kenneth, because when the bunkhouse, you remember when the bunkhouse burned up there, and Kenneth was in the bunkhouse? And they gave him, Horace Johnson down here had the grocery store, and they told him he could have all of the groceries that were left in the grocery store. Marie said they got the groceries out of the grocery store that the Buffalo had, and a whole bunch of stock certificates. That's what they got paid. A lot of these miners that were in here, they didn't get paid hardly anything. You go through these, it's pretty interesting. And
Which one was the Buffalo one?
the Buffalo was up past my place, about 3 miles up Placer Creek there. And the Myrtle is the mine that's right below it. And that's pretty interesting in here on the Myrtle, because there's a 4-page deal here to where Mr. Simeon he was a watchman. Tony's dad was a watchman up there for the Myrtle. And it seems that a whole bunch of equipment from the Buffalo wound up at the Myrtle somehow. And it wasn't supposed to. And there's a Vukasnovich.
Vukasnovich.
You know,
Willie.
Willie Vukasnovich.
okay.
Yeah, he lived with Horace and Mary Johnson up there. Willie did.
And he had claimed a bit of credit.
Okay. Well, there's some in here on them, and it shows how there's, Jess signed this anyway. They're supposed to take and have everything returned back to the Buffalo. And I mean, there's a list of stuff. There's more of those yellow pages back here. Here they really are. Here's a list of just this, I mean, it's everything up. There's muffers, there's 1-inch brass cuffs, there's all kinds of things. I don't even know what they do. Iron molder and a pedestal and gold washing pans, 2 gold washing pans, all this stuff. 5-gallon kerosene oil, all kinds of things. It's kind of interesting. If you want to later, anyway, you can come by and I'll let you look at some of this.
What year was that, Harold? Roughly?
The year, well, it wasn't roughly, it's 29th day of June, 1936.
36.
At one time, there was a complete mill there at the Buffalo mine. That's how they got all their equipment. It's all gone now. But the bunkhouse, everything, cook shack, old root cellar out there for the winter time and everything.
Yeah, my uncle stayed up there. Kenneth lived up there.
Yeah.
But it went to about 38. Yeah, the requisition. And then, of course, BJ, he had the smelter. He had a smelter down here by where the ski lift sits.
And what happened there at that smelter, folks told me it was a copper mine right across over here that they took the copper out and were going to smelter it. They had a big ditch from out of the river come up through my place here in Red River. You still see the marks of it. But they fired it up, and the first day it blew up, so that was the end of it. The structure used to still be there for years after we were driving on River.
Well, they moved it from the copper mine over here down onto the point of the hill down there, and was going to use that for smelting the ore that was coming out of the lower, out of the other mine, Buffalo and the other places, Pioneer and all.
Pioneer.
But it never